Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about this survey, I guess. Campus Reform said that Gen Z workers need praise for meeting basic expectations. 71% of managers say, and we're going to talk about whether or not this is true. We're going to talk about this survey and see if there's any bias there. And this is going to be one of a couple of Gen Z videos we have tonight. Basically, Gen Z has become the internet's favorite punching bag. And, I don't think it's warranted. We've done some videos before talking about how based we think Gen Z actually is. But, everybody wants to take a shot at Gen Z.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You'll get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
You will also get a woohoo if you go out to Kickstarter. You've got about one day. Geeky Sparkles Glow and Ghouls Retro Enamel Pins. They are available now on Kickstarter. Geeky designed these herself.
Except for that one.
I designed Geeky. She designed the rest of them herself. People are like, well, where's everybody else? Where are the other stretch goals? I'm like, I'm going to be completely honest. I did not. No offense to Geeky, but it's enamel pins. I did not expect it to do this well.
Sorry.
So she's just that awesome. She is.
I am. No kidding.
Expectation.
Thank you.
And that's okay. I'm giving her lots of praise, even though she's not Gen Z, but because she needs.
I don't need constant affirmation, even though I am like, I'm not a high maintenance as far as like, needing hair done and all that. But I am emotionally high maintenance sometimes.
I love you.
I love you too. Anyway, let's talk about this.
Yeah, well, I wanted to talk about this real quick too.
Yes.
Yeah, this is kind of important. Go out to news.
Very important.
Good. Yeah, it's very important. Go out to news.clownshishtv.com. There's something going on with YouTube. Many channels, especially channels in our space, the commentary space, have been hit with whatever the hell YouTube is doing. I have no idea what they're doing specifically. Nobody seems to know what they're doing specifically, but you're not getting notified of a lot of our videos. You're not even being shown a lot of our videos. YouTube's AI has decided that, they're just going to kind of pick and choose what they show you. If you want to get the full Clownfish experience, go sign up. News.clownshishtv.com. Doesn't cost you anything, and we will send you an email every time we drop a video. So thank you very much.
Yeah, so
for that. All right. So this Campus Reform had it. Okay, so I guess it came from Resume Templates first, and then we'll talk about the Forbes rebuttal. They said Gen Z workers need constant praise for meeting basic expectations. 71% of managers say.
Okay, what managers were they asking?
I don't know.
Okay,
a bunch of boomers. Boomers. They were asking boomers. Managers also revealed that some Gen Zers respond to constructive criticism by calling out sick the next day, posting on social media, or quitting altogether.
Yeah, sometimes I can see that.
It depends. It feels like, again, we've got 2 Gen Z kids, right? So it feels like there are actually 2 sides to Gen Z. There's the one side that seems to be pretty based and very, much in pursuit of entrepreneurship, and they're hard workers, and they want to roll things back a little bit, and more traditional families and more traditional dating, and going to malls and all this stuff, right? Physical media, all this stuff. And then you've got the other side, which is like, almost feels like the residue from younger millennials.
I don't know. They said they're talking like they're like taking their parents to their interviews. And
yeah.
I'm not talking about this parent dropping them off. I mean, it's like they want their parents in the interview, and they're and I do believe from what I've seen that it's probably true that they take everything personally in some instances, and that's why these people are like calling off or putting it on social media, which is never a good idea, by the way, to put on social media. If they get called out for something, or if they get critiqued or something. And I think that I can see it as somebody who's taught in the schools. And I can see it. Not everybody, obviously, but I think that there's just a generation that doesn't know how to take criticism. And I think it's partly us as parents' fault, because we kept like shielding our kids from criticism. I'm not saying us particular. I'm saying in general, like parents of these kids. And I think that they don't know how to handle some things because they never had to handle some things. And I also know that social media, people are so traumatized by bullying on social media and stuff that they might take what they think is going on there and reflect it into their daily lives, even though it's not the same thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the social media angles definitely change things. I think people
People don't have to talk to other people at all at this point.
Yeah. And I think I think a lot of times they read inflection into posts and criticism
they
that's
even
not
have
really
like
there.
tone tags and crap, so you know what.
All right. So according to a report from Resume Templates, whatever the hell that is, 71% of managers say Gen Z employees expect to be praised for completing even basic tasks. Nearly 60% say Gen Z workers still want positive reinforcement even when their performance falls short. Some of them do. I mean, some of the ones that are screaming on blue sky.
Yeah,
you have to constant affirmation. Managers also revealed how Gen Z handles feedback. 38% say Gen Z employees called out sick the day after receiving criticism, constructive criticism, while 27% quit their jobs altogether. Others responded by crying, posting on social media, filing complaints with human resources, requesting new managers, or involving their parents.
Wait, okay. Well, but what were they told as constructive criticism that they thought they had to go to HR?
I don't know. Was it like you suck at your job, to like get it together? Like, I mean, look, it could be that your managers just suck and your job sucks. And I mean, a lot of people are just kind of quitting jobs because they're like,
it could just be that you suck and you need to do better.
And you got to do better.
The job. We've all been there. You can't learn how to do it right if someone doesn't correct you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and then what we're going to have are, we're going to have a generation of people that can't handle criticism, but we're also going to have a bunch of managers and business owners that are going to be afraid to hire from this generation. This kind of goes along with the video we did the other day talking about the tech industry, that they're not hiring Gen Z anymore. And this perception of Gen Z as being special snowflakes and being too fragile to take criticism, that might be a reason why people aren't hiring them in the first place.
Yeah, but it could also be, I mean, I'm not disagreeing, but I also know that they're more like about like why. If you tell them something and like you're giving a criticism, well, why are you saying that? And it may be a case of they like why, and they're not explaining it, and then they're like getting mad. But going to HR because you got corrected is a little excessive.
Yeah, I mean, look, back in my day, you didn't get HR involved unless it was really egregious.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand.
Like somebody's grabbing your ass, that's when you went to HR, right? If it's like, oh, my boss told me to do a thing and I didn't do the thing and I got in trouble because I didn't do the thing that I'm being paid to do, I mean, that's just like
social media. I think everybody does that. If something goes crap at work, you might be upset, so you go to your social media and talk about it. I think a lot of people do that. That's not like just Gen Z.
I think people should do that less often.
I agree. I'm just saying a lot of people do that. And if you're really upset because you're frustrated, or you're like, you feel like you're being personally attacked, I can see people crying. I can see that happening. I don't think that's depending. See, you're not seeing the circumstances around it. Like, do people cry? Do people do this? But like, yes, but what happened?
Was it a case cry?
Well, yeah, I made me cry. But I'm just saying, was it a matter of like, it was a reasonable request and they acted this way? Or was it a matter of they were excessive and they reacted this way? See, the problem is with this, I'm not saying that Gen Z didn't do it, because there's an awful lot, a high percent saying this. So clearly there's an issue. But what I'm saying is we don't know all the parameters around it to know if it was because they were acting, ridiculously, or there was a reason why they felt to go that way. But the amount of managers complaining makes me think that people are overreacting on the side of Gen Z, but who knows?
They said they surveyed over 1,000 U.S. managers who manage Gen Z employees. So it's a pretty substantial amount of people.
I'm saying there's a substantial enough number that I think there definitely is a problem legitimately. But in some of these cases, like when you're talking about crying and going to HR, I have to start and think, well, did you take it further than you should have? Or are they just that sensitive? We don't know the details.
No, we don't know the details. We don't know if it's a case of, you've got 10 Gen Z employees, 2 of them are the tropes, all the tropes, all the stereotypes. And then the other 8 just kind of do their work and don't give you any problems. But these 2 people stick out in your mind. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I said, it feels like we've got a generation that's kind of split in half. Like you've got the terminally online Gen Z, the one that everybody likes to use as a punching bag, and then you've got Gen Z that just kind of puts their nose to the grindstone. And
yeah, but I think you could say the same thing about millennials. And this article honestly could have been written 5 years ago, but change out the Gen Z for millennial, and it was the same article from like 5 years ago.
Well, Gen X, they used to shit on us all the time.
Oh my God, yeah,
we're like a bunch of lazy pot smoking,
they did.
Slacktivists.
To be fair, though, a lot of times, we were slacker generation for a reason. Even though I was never a slacker, I have I have like a strong work ethic, and I also don't like to get, I'm very competitive. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
it's a problem sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah, that's okay. I am too, but I'm a little stealthier about it. Anyway. Let's go back to Gen Z. Let's talk about Nobody wants to hear about our boomer problems. It said they can't handle correction or discipline without crying about it and thinking rules and expectations don't apply to them, said one manager out of 1,050. The high demand for validation has created challenges for managers, especially when it comes to delivering criticism. Some report avoiding criticism entirely, while others say they use a method of delivering praise alongside a constructive comment. God, it's like working at Disney.
I was gonna say it sounds like Disney.
So like people who don't know, okay, so the deal with Disney is,
well, I don't know if it still is.
It was when we were working with them. You literally were not allowed to say anything negative unless you had a spoonful of sugar to help that medicine go down. You had to say something positive first.
Yes.
And then you could say oh, hey, yeah, people freaking hate this, whatever. You have to be like, oh, we're getting all the feedback, and overall people love the theme parks, and they love this and they love that and they love everything about it, and the magic, that's awesome, but we have a few concerns. They hate Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
Yeah, right. I was just thinking, like, for our kids and their friends and stuff, it's like most of them don't require constant affirmation.
No. Well, they're not gonna get from me, that's for damn sure.
But I also know, yeah, right. I also know, though, that you have, there's been all kinds of articles lately about basically Gen X becoming the helicopter parents of Gen Z. So it could just be a case that because Gen X were latchkey kids, they didn't get all the positive affirmation, and that some parents, are constantly going overboard with positive affirmation. I think the way the schools are, too, could be that way. Or they're so afraid of offending anyone that they go overboard the other direction. So now these kids are like used to that. It could be that. It could be a number of reasons. But talking about inflection and getting yelled at and thinking everybody's mad at you and crying. I have to laugh because our daughter's one teacher who I think is either top of the Gen Z or like very bottom of the millennials. There was a problem at the school where basically our daughter got accused of plagiarism. Yeah. All right. And why she was accused of plagiarism was because they had like a thing like, you had to answer. She restated the question. Like they said, explain what we'll say
photosynthesis or something.
Yeah, it was xylem and phloem. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And that was the words. And it's like, explain what these mean. And she was like, xylem and phloem are, and then the first word of the second sentence was like is or the or something.
Yeah.
She got accused of plagiarism because they were using and I said, they were you using AI? As the teacher using AI? Well, they're running it through filters. And I'm like, okay, what are they running it through? Well, they're Grammarly. Well, she had tried to talk to this teacher repeatedly, and the teacher wouldn't answer her. She got a 0. Well, I went to the principal because I was like, you know what? I didn't do it at first, but when they started saying we have a lot of kids that are plagiarizing, that's when I started raising questions like, wait, are you using AI?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I was not mean to this teacher at all. I was not mean, but she immediately took anything I said as severe criticism, and I was screaming at her and went right into the principal to try to cause me trouble. I was like, what? And then he said, well, she's upset because, I'm like, what? My daughter is, because she's being accused of plagiarism. Because what happened was when I ran it to Grammarly, it was literally the first sentence, which was restating the question, and the first word of the second sentence. And I said, are you talking about the first sentence, which was a basic sentence that, if you're writing any basic paper, you'd write?
Yeah.
And she goes, well, it wasn't just the first sentence. It was part of the second sentence. Said, yeah, the first word, the. And and I wasn't even that. I mean.
You weren't. But I got on the phone with the principal.
Yeah,
and I basically told him.
I wasn't mean to the teacher though, and she's like, she's so
very
upset.
defensive.
I'm like, why my daughter feels because she's being accused of plagiarism and getting a 0 when she didn't do it.
Yeah, I don't care that she's
your
upset.
teacher didn't do the bare minimum.
She's dumb. I don't care if she's upset.
I mean, as a teacher, bare minimum. You don't run it just through an AI. You run it. You have to actually look. If the AI flags it as, oh, Grammarly says there's plagiarism, you have to go check it manually to make sure it isn't something simple. Because if your sentence looks like any other sentence out there, they'll say it's plagiarism. It's like, but it literally was restating the question as they were taught to write. And it's like, what the hell? But because I questioned her, she was like, oh my God. And then the principal's on my side. He agrees with me and everything else. And
who gives a shit? You're still wrong.
He wasn't telling us that.
You got two people that are wrong.
She could not take it. She could not take asking a basic question and pointing out that she did not even do the bare minimum. She just ran through an AI and marked it a 0. And I was like, hell no, as a teacher, you can't do that. And ended up the principal wanted us to be on this AI panel because they don't understand anything about AI. We're like, no, we don't have time for it.
Yeah, pretty much. I was like, oh my God.
But I'm just saying that's one example I could think of. And she was getting her back up immediately as soon as you asked a question. I wasn't even mean. No. And she was doubling down on it until I proved her an idiot, which I wouldn't have taken that far if she hadn't, like, you just listened. But she was immediately, like, bawling and acting like, apparently, he said, being really upset, really hurt. And getting her back up and being combative, whatever word is combative, towards me over asking the question. And then, eventually I had to lay some smack down. But
when it comes to that sort of thing, as a boss, I've had to get rid of people, and this is not Gen Z. We're talking millennial. I think she was millennial. I had to deal with one time. I don't remember, but I'm like, I'm just like, yeah, you're fired. You're done.
That's when her mom called.
Yes, her mother called
her mother called the newspaper and pretended to be a reader.
Yes, pretend to be a reader. Like, where did articles by so-and-so go? I'm like, oh, she's no longer with the paper. Well, I loved her stuff. I'm like, yeah, she wasn't a good fit.
Yeah, but her caller ID was there and it was her mom.
It was her mother. I'm like, oh, are you
So I'm just like, so it's not just a Gen Z thing.
She would have been a millennial. So I'm like, oh,
I don't think it's just a Gen Z thing. I think this teacher was either very beginning of Gen Z or late millennial. I think it's just, there's generational issues, I think, in every generation, but this affirmation thing, I think, is because you have people that, boomers and Gen X didn't get all that constant affirmation, and maybe they were more inclined to give it to their grandkids and their kids because they felt like they didn't get it, and now these kids expect it. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm even guilty of that though, because I mean, I was kind of a latchkey kid, and I was, free range. It was amazing. I didn't get into more trouble, but it's pretty amazing the stuff I was in. We compared notes on, our childhoods, and I pretty much just kind of let me go do whatever. But like, I'm wondering though, if this doesn't connect with the tech companies not hiring these people. It's not because they're not qualified. It's because they don't want to deal with
they don't want to be a therapist.
Yeah, exactly. They don't want to be a therapist. You're not going to work.
They're not your mom.
Yes, isn't preschool. We're not going to sit down and have a circle, rah meeting. And I've seen this. Like, I've seen videos. And this is very alien to me. I've seen videos where people working at these companies, it's like going, like I said, it's like going to school or going to a club at school or something. I'm like, this isn't an actual company, right? Like, every place I've worked is like, you get in here and get to work and make us some money. That's what you do.
To the other side of it though too, it's like, it's you can tell someone you're doing something wrong and say, hey, I need you to do better with this. And there are ways you can do it that is a way that's not like dehumanizing and more, I don't want to say kid gloves, but like you can put it in a way that's not so, humiliating or belittling or whatever. And there are a lot of assholes out there that love the opportunity to belittle other people too. So I'm sure there's two sides to every story.
This is this is Forbes, and they're reacting to it, and they said constantly praising this is like how to train your dog. Constantly praising your Gen Z employees can become impractical and downright exhausting. But what's the alternative? When, according to the survey, 38% of managers say Gen Z employees have called out sick the day after being given feedback, and they quit, yada yada. Managers feel like they have to tiptoe with Gen Z. 2/3 of these leaders have altered their management style to accommodate Gen Z. 75% say this age group requires more time and resources. Half the respondents report that Gen Z employees cause tension among the other generations in the workforce. 27% of managers say they would avoid hiring Gen Z if possible, and half of them have fired a Gen Z worker already. this is potentially why Gen Z is not getting hired, unfortunately.
Because those people are painting or poisoning the well. They're like, I had to deal with these people, so now I'm going to assume all of you are like that, and that's not really fair. But I get it.
Now this person, I don't know if they're Gen Z or not, but they're like, look, I get it. I get you being frustrated, but they're like, Gen Z is going to make up 30% of the workforce. Many who propose that Gen Z isn't looking for constant or praise at all. In fact, according to many of the experts I spoke with, Gen Z is looking for much more. If we're willing, we should partner in their search. Well, here's the thing. So this is a different paradigm because, again, back in my day, when you had an employer-employee relationship, it was strictly business, and you were hired to perform a service for your employer in exchange for money. And again, it's like your workforce is not your school. It's not your church. It's not your, your job. I mean, and, it just is a very different mindset. And I think a lot of younger people want that kind of kumbaya camaraderie. And it's like, it doesn't work that way.
They do say something here, which I was thinking as well. And they said that, the one thing about, if you get as a management position, if you start giving out positive feedback, not just to Gen Zs, but across the workforce, and be like, when they do something good or right, or you're like, yeah, that's great, keep doing that, or you give them some kind of affirmation, I think to anyone, it's going to boost morale, and it's going to make people more inclined to come to work. And I agree with that. The problem is that if you give any criticism, they're calling off work or quitting. That's when you got a problem.
I don't know. This is a mess. Cause I mean, again, the other side of it is I'm hearing about Gen Z that are like, yeah, let's just become like homesteaders and just like, go start a business and go do this and that. But the unfortunate truth is, if this is true, and I think it is to some degree, is because of the perception of Gen Z being a generation that needs to be coddled. None of you are getting hired. Even the ones that are good workers are not getting hired. They just don't want to deal with you.
They happen with millennials too. And it wasn't even because the older millennials were a problem. It was because some of the younger ones, not all of them, of course, but a lot of the younger ones, we were talking about them. Just like I said, just a few years ago, this would have been a millennials article. Those ones that aren't much older than Gen Zs, we're seeing the same kind of thing. So this isn't new. It's just that it's switched from millennial to Gen Z, but it's the same kind of behavior. And it's a generational thing. So you have to ask yourself why. Like what around them has created this situation?
Yeah. Yeah, she looks like she's Gen Z. Gen Z. So I don't know. But again, all these things are interrelated. And this whole, whether or not it's a stereotype or whatever, I think is actually contributing to Gen Z not getting jobs and managers looking to replace them with robots. Like the robots doesn't need affirmation.
I know. But I see both sides of this one. I really do. I think the managers could be, overly critical to the place to drive people HR. But I also know that there are people that in Gen Z, and I would say even late millennials, that they can take no criticism at all. Everything's an attack. Yeah. I just explained one instance what my daughter had to deal with. So yeah.
No, then I'm just like, you know what? I'm Gen X. I don't give a shit. I will attack away. And if you can't handle it, then that's a you problem. So, and that's why I think that's why we have the problems that we have, especially in talking about the things we talk about, pop culture stuff. When you get into entertainment that attracts a lot of millennials and Gen Z, like, cartoons and stuff like that.
They think that it's affirmation for themselves. Like, they see these things that I identify in the same way. So that's my representation. That's me. So
you're attacking me.
You're attacking me. And I think it's the same mentality that you're seeing. You're attacking my work or what I did. So you're attacking me personally. Yeah.
And they don't disconnect from that. They don't, there's definitely a disconnect, but they can't unplug themselves from their identity being wrapped up in like some, game or comic or freaking, Netflix She-Ra or wherever the hell it is. And then when you make fun of it, they're like, you just hate gay people.
You're making fun of me. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, no, I don't. I just think your show's stupid. Your cartoon's stupid. But hey, if you like it, whatever, I don't give a shit. Basically, I don't give a shit. Whatever but I'm going to roast your cartoon because I think it's dumb. No, stop it. You're a bigot, transphobe, homophobe. Yeah.
Okay, so your show's still dumb. Are we going to wrap this up?
Yeah, we're going to wrap it up. So there you go, guys. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Again, check out Geeky's Pins on Kickstarter. You've only got a day. Geeky Sparkles, Glowing Ghouls. We'll talk later.
Bye.
For more pop culture news, views, and rants, go to news.clownfishtv.com. That's news.clownfishtv.com.